Good afternoon, everyone. I believe you can all hear me. My name is Samuel Itayo, the country American Spaces specialist. We're happy that you're able to join us today. I could see people from Ibadan, Abuja, Calabar, Uyo, Benin, Jigawa, Yola. Thank you, thank you. And more importantly, Emmanuella Akinola, I can see you. How are you? Thank you for joining us. I would like to reiterate the purpose of this workshop. I want to plead with every one of us to please have it in mind the theme, volunteerism for personal transformation and national development. You remember the first week we had Ebenezer Ogun, who was able to tell us why volunteerism is so important and how do we connect you to the nation, to your community. And today we're having Emmanuella Akinola, who will be talking about Know Thyself, You Are the Resource. And to do justice to this, I would like to call on the moderator for today's event to please introduce our speaker for today. Over to you. That's Stella. Yola?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. We want to talk about Emmanuella Akinola. I'll be reading her bio. Emmanuella Akinola is a passionate advocate for disability rights and inclusion. She serves as the Chief Operations Officer at Accesstech Innovation and Research Centre, driven by a 15-year commitment to empowering persons with disabilities, particularly through digital skills training and provision of assistive technology to visually impaired individuals. Her dedication is evident in her extensive volunteering and professional journey. She's a 3-time US Exchange Program alumni, a yearly West African 2015, IVLP 2018, Mandela Washington Fellowship 2019. Emmanuella holds a distinction awarded MBA from Nexford University, where she was also a business case competition winner. Through Accesstech, her social enterprise, she has demonstrated impactful leadership by distributing over 5,000 extensive technology products across Nigeria, Liberia, Ghana, and Sierra Leone. She's also an associate member of Women in Business and Public Management and the International Association of Accessibility Professionals, where she has volunteered in different communities, in different committees. Thank you very much as we welcome Emmanuella Akinola.
Hi, thank you, Stella. Thank you so much for doing justice to this. I'm always very excited whenever I get an invitation from the American Spaces, the US Consulate, the Public Affairs section to devote my time to supporting and building other minds. Because for me, I know that the US government as an institution has invested so much in me as Emmanuella Akinola. even when I didn't believe so much in myself. They invested so much in me, building my leadership skills. And for me, this is one of my goals. One of my goals is in ensuring that I give back to institutions that have actually built something in me. And I'm so happy that we are also even talking about volunteerism today. And I believe that all of us here listening to, all of us here seated today at this event is because we've got a passion to give our time to something, to a cause that we believe so much in. That is why we are here today. And we want to understand how to do it better and to ensure that we manage ourselves in building, in devoting our time to volunteering and building a better nation. Thank you again, American Spaces. Thank you, Dr. Itayo, for this invitation. And to all members of the team at American Spaces, I appreciate your effort in building lives. Okay, I'll be sharing my slide right away. Okay, I believe it's shared now. Okay, so as Doctor has stated earlier, I'll be speaking on the power of self-knowledge in driving purpose-driven volunteerism and leadership. So today, there are a few things I expect us to do. We are not just going to listen because even though it's an online, it's a virtual event, I'm not a newscaster. So I expect that we are going to participate in this event. We're all going to contribute. And for me personally, I take very seriously. When I'm speaking, I just don't want to speak for you to nod and say, wow, this is word. I want you to go through a process from the beginning to the end. Now, this process goes through reflective questions. Every slide I have here has reflective questions, reflection questions rather. And all these questions, I expect you, I believe that you have a pen and paper. We don't have pen and paper, thank God it's virtual. You have a notepad on our computers. Please, let's take this as a process of discovering ourselves. We know that discovering ourselves is a journey, but we need to be able to note down these things. We need to be able to write down these things. And if you feel free, if you're comfortable with any of the reflection questions, I will be very glad to have one or two people share their responses. Because as I said, I'm not a newscaster. We are all doing this together. It's a process that we are all going to go through together. At the end of this event today, I want to have people who are charged up and who have a sense of clarity on what they want to do with their time and how they want to devote their time to the development of the nation. Now moving on to the first slides. We are looking at importance of volunteerism. I'm happy that last week we had a prelude to this. We've looked at, our first speaker has looked at why we should volunteer, the advantages of volunteerism. He's somebody I know personally, and I know he works closely with Red Cross, and he has spent a lot of his time volunteering. So I believe that he has done so much justice to this. I know that we are all charged up as to now, I know that I have to volunteer. I know that I have to give my time to nation building. And a lot of time, giving my time to nation building does not necessarily have to be paid for in terms of financially, but because of the passion I have, because there's a reason I'm doing this. So now, the reason we are coming back again today is to find out how do I ensure that I put in my resource as a person? How do I get to put in my real self into this? That I'm not just doing this to tick a box, but I'm doing this to make an impact. So we need to be able to understand understanding yourself, how it transforms how we serve others. Now, if we don't know yourself, if we don't know who you are, if you don't know what you want, you will not be able to serve others effectively. So now our first reflection question is, what drives me to serve others? Please, I know that it's not a physical meeting, but please take your time and write this down. What drives you to serve others? What is driving you to serve others? We all have our reasons. We all have why we want to serve others. For someone who has volunteered with Nigerian Red Cross, you might have a reason. It might be that somebody died negligently for something that the first aid could have actually solved. Maybe that was what was driving him to continue to serve others through the Nigerian Red Cross. For somebody else, it's something else. Now, for you who is listening to me today, what is driving you to serve others? Why did you come for this event today? You are here today because you have a passion to serve others. What is that thing that is driving you? please, you can write that down. It's very, very important. Even if you don't get the chance to share it because of time on this meeting, on this call, you can have time with yourself to reflect on this and share with somebody, people who are close to you, accountability partners. It's very, very, very important. Now, let's go on to this now. What is self-knowledge? I know that several times we read a lot of books on psychology, and we understand that we need to know yourself. I think a particular philosopher said, "Man, know thyself." Now, it as short as that sentence is the most powerful sentence for me on earth. When I started having a level of self-discovery, for me, it helped me in being able to know why the first reflection question, which says, what drives me to serve somebody, to serve others? If I don't know myself, I won't be able to answer that question in itself. So self-awareness self-knowledge is awareness of your values, your strengths, your weaknesses, your beliefs, your passion, and your motivation. When you're starting businesses, they tell us to do SWOT analysis, your strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. But it's not only for your business. For you as an individual, we need to have this. You need to be able to know what are your strengths, because your strengths are not my strengths. Your weaknesses are neither my weaknesses. So it helps us to be able to know who can we work with, what kind of passion, what kind of environment can I actually work more effectively in as a person. So that is what self-knowledge does. It helps us to be self-aware of our values, of our strengths, of our weaknesses, of our beliefs. Because there are certain environments you cannot, there are certain things, belief system, because of certain beliefs, certain environment, you cannot work in those environments because it's against your belief system. But if you are not intentional about your belief system, if you are not conscious of your belief system, you find yourself doing everything that's against your values or against your belief. Now, self-knowledge is not just about introspection. I know a lot of times, especially for us introverts, we have a lot of introspection is takes about 60% of our lives, because especially people who are melancholic, we want to rethink everything that we are doing. But apart from just introspecting, it is a compass of the meaningful action. It's a continuous journey. It's not a one-off event. So the call we are on today, it's a catalyst to this continuous journey. It's not a one-off call. It is not just one of the one-off meetings that we are going to have in life. No, this meeting is a catalyst. So also to start this continuous journey, to continue on this journey, because self-discovery, self-knowledge is a continuous process. What you know about yourself today, when in a particular situation, you find out that you know more about yourself in every situation. So that's why the older you get, the more mastery you get of yourself. So because it's a journey. So now, one of the reflection questions we have here that I want us to note down. Can you hear me again, please? Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. I just received a notification that my internet was unstable, so I want to be sure. Okay, thank you. So one of the reflection questions I have here is, what do I know about myself that influences how I help others? Now, I'm not going to share this without giving you my personal experience as a person. For me, I work in the disability sector. And one of the things that actually influenced the good thing, the reason I'm actually very excited about this program is that personally, as Emmanuella, my career journey has been greatly influenced by volunteerism. I would say if I've worked for 15 years in this industry, I've volunteered for over 8 years. I've done, and I still volunteer. I've just stopped volunteering. So my career journey has actually been grown through volunteering. When I was in the media, I was practicing journalism before I came into disability advocacy and assistive technology. And I got bored with journalism and all that. I wanted to go into disability advocacy. And that's also because of the experience I have. I have a direct experience being married to a person with disability. And each time I go out with my husband, I see things that are actually affecting me. I see how disability itself affects me. So I became interested in disability advocacy. I wanted to understand. So I decided to start volunteering with organizations that work and support persons with disability so that I can understand the technical issues and also be able to provide my time in this regard. So for me, that particular experience built me. So when you see a lot of my volunteering journey, they are actually around disability. Because number one, that's what I understand. That is what affects me. That is what I know. Now, it's not just about disability and myself or my family. It's also about disability and the nation. So you see more in disability advocacy, policy, national or international policy advocacies on disability, because those are the things that are driving me every day. So a lot of time, volunteering is not just about, it's not ticking a box. It's not, the goal of volunteering is not to take the pictures. A lot of time, the deepest part of volunteering are not just in the, they are not in your Instagram post that you want to share with other people so that you can look like a very good person. The deepest part is actually in the fulfillment that you put in the eyes of people. In the eye, what are the things that you've done that have actually changed the life of somebody? Those are the deepest reasons why we actually volunteer. And you cannot achieve this if you don't have self-awareness, if you don't know yourself, if you don't know why you are doing what you're doing, if you don't know what is pushing you to do these things. That is why today we need to come into introspection. We need to start this journey of self-discovery, of understanding what we need to do, so that you now understand that even though you have the mindset to volunteer, it is not every sector that you can volunteer in. Now, one of the today, as I said, I'm not a newscaster, so I want to get some responses. In this regard, now looking at self-discovery, I want you to share with me, either in the comment section or one or two people can share with me one adjective that you say that you use to describe yourself. For me, I call myself the empathetic Ella. That is the adjective I describe myself with. So anything I do, empathy is very, very important for me. So what is that one adjective that you use to describe yourself? Anybody can volunteer to speak, because I want to know more people on this call. It doesn't have to start with the first word of the first letter of your name. It can be anything, but I just need one adjective to describe yourself. Okay. Is anybody in the audience speaking?
Yeah.
My name is Emmanuella. Good afternoon. I can say I'm a compassionate listener. That's an adjective I used to describe myself. So that's why I do what I do.
Okay. Yeah. Wait, compassionate
listener.
Listener.
So I call myself compassionate listener.
Okay, compassionate listener. Thank you. Glad to meet you, compassionate listener. Now, thank you so much. Okay, can I meet someone else?
My name is USinNigeria Kingsley. I call myself an advocate.
Really, go ahead.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I said, I call myself an advocate. That's the one that you want there for.
Okay, the voice is breaking.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm Okori Precious Adenaya. I actually regard myself as a secret achiever due to the fact that no matter where I am, I can make things work out without even making it openly. I can decide to take a decision. I can decide to give out an input without you knowing whereabouts or how you came from. I'm analytic and logical sometimes. That's why I regard myself as a secret achiever. Thank you.
Wow. So thank you so much. Now we have the compassionate listener and we have the secret achiever. I have two scenarios here now. Now, this is my idea of volunteerism. A lot of time when we think of volunteerism, you're only thinking of the non-profit, you're only thinking of charities. When I went to my Mandela Washington Fellowship, we went to the food bank. I was excited. And one of the things that made me so excited is that yes, I've been hungry before in my life. I knew what it was like to be hungry and to pack for people and to pack food for people who are hungry. Now, for the secret achiever also, I can imagine that for me, I'm running a digital training institute for blind persons. For someone like you, if I'm working with someone like her, she's at the back end giving me a lot of admin support. She's doing at the back end, doing a lot of doing digital marketing for me. And you're seeing the result outside there, but you don't know that she is the secret achiever that is actually behind me. So what am I trying to say? It is not only non-profit charities that actually need volunteers. A lot of times businesses need volunteers. So if you're looking at volunteering for national development, a lot of times we are not please, let's not just look at only charities. There are some small businesses that actually are struggling. There are some serious entrepreneurs that are struggling. You have this skill and you have other means of income and you have the spare time to actually support these small businesses. You can also volunteer with them to provide this kind of support. And for someone that is a secret achiever, you will do exceptionally well with a lot of small businesses if you have a skill that you believe that a small business around you would actually need and you can support with. So volunteering is not, as we said, now with these two people who have actually spoken, we've seen that there are different kinds of people who want to volunteer. There are different kinds of reasons, there are different kinds of things that drives us that in volunteering. And these are the things that actually decide which area we are actually going. So now let's not forget our reflection questions. What do I know about myself that influences how I help others? Our secret achiever has said something that one of the things she knows about herself is that she likes to work from the back end. And our compassionate Levina said I'm sure if I ask you, compassionate Levina, most likely you like to work with people who are vulnerable. You like to provide support for people who are vulnerable and all that. I don't know, but I don't know what to do, but I believe that it's something close to, it might be something close to that. Because for you to have compassion, it means that you seem to have a lot of mercy. It's not like everybody. Go ahead. You want to say something?
Yes. I volunteer for children from underprivileged communities with edutech skills, and we mentor them on mental health. We take care of their mental health through counseling.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. I can imagine that takes a lot of patience to actually achieve what you're doing. And it takes for someone who has passion, who has compassion, who has mercy. Because you know that a lot of times, some of them will be slow learners. You need to take your time to build them. So, and you are doing this with your time. And you are not expecting anybody to tell you thank you. Really. So it takes a lot of compassion. So thank you so much, Levina. Thank you, our secret achiever, and so many people who actually wanted to speak, but because of time, we have so much time to speak. But please note this down, write this down, because this is a word that actually drives what you're actually doing. What do I know about myself that influences how I help others? Now the link between self-knowledge and purpose. Purpose flows from understanding who you are. Now, if you want to ask a very philosophical question, we ask everybody, what's your purpose in life? I know it's a very philosophical question because a lot of times, even what you think is your purpose in life today, tomorrow might not be exactly what your purpose in life is. When I was starting out as a young girl, I believe that my purpose in life was to impart into others. I wanted to be a journalist, then move on to becoming a teacher. But today, I practiced journalism for 2 years. I practiced teaching. I was in the education sector for like 3 years before I went into assistive technology. I never imagined at that time of my life that today I'll be serving persons with disabilities in tech. So it wasn't in my plan. But now looking at it again, so when looking at what's your purpose in life, it actually evolves. You keep realizing, it's a discovery. And each season in your life, you keep discovering more things about yourself based on the opportunities that you have around you. So purpose flow from understanding of who you are. But if you don't know who you are, you will not understand what your purpose is. You're going to dabble into everything. It's not everything that is for you. It's not every area that you are competent in that is actually for you. We are going to also talk about that. So in volunteering, all this goes around knowing yourself. I know people, when you're under 35, you have a lot of energy. You have a lot of opportunities for volunteering. You have a lot of opportunities for fellowship. You have a lot of opportunities for applying for grants. It's not every fellowship, it's not every volunteering opportunity that is for you. You have to look at those who are the opportunities that are aligned to your purpose, because those are the only places where you can actually work, where you can actually flow without any grudges, where you can flow without struggle. Can you imagine a river flowing and having obstacles? You are not going, the tide is not going to be smooth. So now, when the river is flowing, there are no obstacles because it's in its nature. So when you're volunteering in a place where you find purpose, you are even happy. When there are hurdles, you are there. So when you're volunteering only for the pictures, to look good, to build your own personal goodwill brand as a person, in quotes, you yourself know, look into yourself, face the mirror and look into your eyes. You know you are struggling. You know that this is not yourself. This is not where you really wanted to be. So it's good for you to be able to understand what your purpose is, because it helps in understanding who you are. Now, when you know yourself, your service becomes authentic and sustainable. Nobody has to push you to do those things. For me, when people come to my organization and say they want to sign up for they want to volunteer with us, the first question I ask is why? Because it's very, very important. As the people as plain as possible, they tell you that they want to go and study in the US and they want to volunteer so that they can put it there in their record so that they might get the opportunity to get scholarship. Well, that is noted. But is there any other reason apart from this? Do you have anything? Why did you come to us if that's the case? Is there any reason why you came to us? Because we work with blind people. And there are some people that you find that there's a purpose that draws them to you. There's a purpose that draws them to the cause that you are working on. But some people that have no purpose. And really, as Emmanuella, I won't work with that person that doesn't have any purpose. Because I've learned over the years that when I work with those people that don't really have a purpose, that just wants to do it to check a list for the book's sake, a lot of times we struggle to get results with them. Because they know that that is not their natural thing. They're only doing it to tick a box. They just want to attend the event. So they are looking for the spotlight. How do you know that where you are volunteering is not where you are supposed to be? Number one, you're always looking for spotlights. If you're always looking for that spotlight is when they want to take pictures, you want them to put it on their Instagram, you want to put it on your Instagram, you're just interested in it. You're not even caring about the vulnerable children you're working with and their own data protection. You just want to put it out there, you are looking for the likes, then you're not in your purpose. Because my sister, ladies and gentlemen, if you are in your purpose, if you are doing what you're doing in your authentic self, a lot of times, these things that we're talking about, especially if you are working for a social good cause, these causes take your time more that you need somebody else to even remind you of that spotlight. It's not like you're not going to get into spotlight, because the truth is that once you've done the right thing, you're going to make an impact. And when you make an impact cannot be kept quiet. People are going to know about it. But the question is it the knowing about it? Is it the publicity that is your outcome, or the impact? For the impact to be your outcome, it means that cause is very, very dear to your heart. And you cannot know a cause that is dear to your heart if you don't understand what you want to achieve in this life. If you don't understand, I know people who work in climate change, they're doing very well in climate change. And they're working with so much passion. You can see the passion that against all odds, they are in this cause. But some of us don't understand it. I don't know, you understand the technical issues around climate change and all that, but there are other causes that draws your attention. Do you understand? There are other causes that draws your attention, and that cause, you can focus on that. You don't have to do climate change because it is more popular. It's not compulsory, because how long do you have to live on this earth at the end of the day? Even if you're living 100 years, it's not enough to finish all the courses. It's not enough to do everything. So God has created you for a purpose. He has molded you, and he has put certain personality in you. He has put certain, not just the personalities that he has put in you, he also made you pass through certain experiences so that you can come out of those experiences and touch other people's lives. So some of us who have gone through hunger when we are young, that is why if you go to a food bank, I can stay in a food bank from morning to evening. I'm not feeling tired, because I know what it means for somebody who doesn't have a food to eat. Now, for somebody who have never been hungry, who have never had a cause to think of a meal for a day, you might not understand that. But I've passed through that experience for my own cause. I'm passing through my own experience. So you have your experiences that you have passed. These are things that has molded you, and that can also determine the course in which you are actually going to put your time into. Number 3, self-knowledge prevents burnout and directionless activities. As young people, a lot of us now are mid-age, a lot of time, because we have energy, we want to do everything, especially things that are trending, things that look like big organizations are supporting and all that. So if you're not careful, today you say you are a climate change advocate, tomorrow you're a disability advocate, next tomorrow you are into EdTech, next before you know it is now you're now a startup founder. By the time you are 50, by the time you are 60, you have done everything and you have achieved nothing. That's burnout. So self-knowledge helps you to program, to focus. You have a laser focus on what you are putting your time into. You have a sense of direction, because you know yourself, you can also withdraw from certain activities that are not for you. I wish people well. The fact that you are not in that activity does not mean that activity is not valid. It only means that you don't have the capacity. either the emotional capacity or the mental capacity to provide that support. And you can as well use your time to provide the support in the areas where you are interested in, or the areas that touches your heart the most. Now, our reflection question here is, what causes or issues naturally resonate with who you are? For me, anywhere if you want me to talk from morning till night, I can talk about disability, I can talk about assistive technology from morning till night. Even what I'm talking about today, I can talk about it from morning till night. Why? Because these are the things that have built my life. There are things that naturally, anything that you have to struggle to think about, most likely are not causes that you should volunteer for. Because you might start becoming, what's this word? People, there's this word we call it, people who are always, you start demanding certain kind of recognition. You start asking, like you're working for organization and you're telling them that you know what I've done upon all what I've done for you. It means that cost never resonated with you. You're actually waiting for them to either give you a reward for it, or to take it you wanted to become you wanted to make yourself important because you think that cause is important. So what causes actually resonates with you naturally? Those are the causes that is actually calling your name. That's the cause that's calling your name. And as I said earlier, it might not even be just a charity cause. It might be a cause to build businesses. And you don't like seeing a business owner not having, maybe their stock is very bad, that their stock keeping is bad. And you can feel that this person is a serious person, but this person is short-staffed and cannot afford to pay. You can volunteer your time to do stock keeping for this person if you have the experience in it, and it's not going to take out, you are not going to, you have other things that you're doing based from your paid job. Those are part of the things we use to contribute to national development, because when you support this business owner with 1 or 2 hours of your time in stock keeping and the person's inventory is cleaned up, you know that the person can now make better sales, the person can do better record keeping, and now you have contributed to the growth of a business. Tomorrow, when that business grows and is able to employ better hands, definitely you can see your impact in that business because you have helped them to put a structure. It's not everything that we get, not just financial reward for. But one thing I can tell you for sure, when you volunteer on causes that naturally resonate with you, you definitely get rewards for them. Because a lot of times also, I believe that the last speaker last week that people told one of the reasons to actually volunteer, it also helps to build your career. I see a lot of people who are trying to build, let me say, for example, somebody is trying to build your career, you're trying to build your career in data analysis or data entry and analysis. This example I made now is a very good way to support, to enter into that career, because when you've done it for a business and that business is successful in inventory keeping and all that, you can tell another business, you do it for another business, that business is successful, you already be building expertise in it. Tomorrow, if you come to me and tell me that I have done this for A, I've done this for B, and this is this is the result I achieved with A and B, I can actually pay you for this because you have proven to me that you have record for what you've done. So volunteering is not like volunteering doesn't pay at all. When I volunteer, that time is lost. This time is not lost. Number one, there's an invisible seed you've sown that you are going to reap. Number two, you're also sowing a seed of goodness. Number three, you are also sowing a seed of, you are building your expertise as a person. Okay, so I hope you've noted this down. What causes or issues naturally resonate with who you are as a person? Now, self-knowledge and leadership. Great leaders lead from within. One of my major mantras is that ability to lead yourself is self-discipline. Self-discipline is not difficult to define. It's your ability to lead yourself. Tell myself that, Emmanuella, sit on this seat for the next 2 hours, study, and don't stand up. Once I can do that, I've led myself for the day. I've controlled myself. It's not a case of the spirit is willing and the flesh is weak. It's a case of the spirit can command the flesh to sit down and the flesh will sit down. So if you cannot lead yourself, if you cannot be disciplined with yourself, you cannot give your time to people. Because number one, you won't be able to manage people if you cannot manage your time. So if you cannot manage your time and you say you're volunteering for somebody, you cannot for an organization, or you're volunteering for a good cause. You cannot also manage people. You cannot manage a project. So great leaders lead from within. You must learn to lead yourself from within. If you're somebody who procrastinates, build system around yourself to help you to stop procrastinating, to build your own. Before you start building businesses, you just have to build yourself, because the person who is well built is the person that can actually build organizations or build a cause. Empathy, integrity, and confidence stems from understanding self. So if you don't, a lot of times when we look at people who have worked in courses and all that, empathy, integrity, and confidence is one of the major attributes you find in them. And if you don't know yourself, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what you can do and what you cannot do. So knowing who you are is about knowing what you can do and what you cannot do, and why you are doing what you are doing. You cannot actually be empathetic. You cannot, because it's not everything that you have that you show passion for that you can actually do something about. So you need to be able to know what you can do and what you cannot do. So it also, self-knowledge also enables resilience and clarity during challenges. So when you know why you are doing what you are doing, a lot of times things are not going to be easy. But that's what makes you resilient. It is your why. It's your reason for coming on board. You've already signed up to an organization that you're volunteering for them. And let's imagine maybe at an event, and suddenly the rain starts falling. You know why you signed up for that thing. Is that reason why you signed up for that thing that makes you go back home to take an umbrella and go into that storm and go to that organization? Is that the reason? But if you don't have a reason you signed up for it, you just signed up for it because, oh, it's trending, a lot of people are there, you get to know more people, you get to meet more people and all that. And for a lot of for a lot of I don't want to call them flimsy reasons, but they're all good reasons, they're all valid reasons. But maybe they're not strong enough to actually push somebody beyond push someone beyond certain challenges. If those are the reasons you just want to volunteer for organizations, you might easily fail because there will be no resilience. But when you know yourself, you know that the reason why you're doing what you're doing is actually to have self-knowledge. It's actually to build yourself, to build your understanding. It's coming from self-knowledge, from the knowledge that you have about yourself, from knowing why you are doing what you're doing, the weakness, the experiences you've had. That is why you are doing what you are doing. You are going to build a sense of resilience. It's not, for example, when I started working in disability in disability advocacy and assistive technology, I never knew certain things. I know that, yes, I know that persons with disability, I know about persons with disabilities, especially persons who are visually impaired and all that. But my understanding, my knowledge, my experience as a spouse of a person with disability gave me another angle to how people, to why I should do what I'm doing. I always tell people that even if I become World Bank president tomorrow, I am still a blind man's wife. So why? I have a responsibility to change the perspective of how people see blind people. So that's what is driving me in everything I do. If I'm speaking today, it is what is driving me. If I'm working today, even when I went to do my MBA, it was what drove me, because we are building our business to become standard. Because, so at the end of the day, so when you see me anywhere, you really find me in an occasion, apart from what I'm doing now, you really find me in an occasion, and I'm just there because that have nothing to do with disability, for no reason and for nothing. Because my major focus is on disability advocacy, and not just disability advocacy. This is the reason why I'm doing disability advocacy. It is not just a career for me. So the resilience is there. You find we've been there for 15 years, and we're going to be there for a long time. It's a game for a long time. And these things, the experiences, the reason why you are doing this builds your resilience. There have been challenges. There are times when you're broke. There are times when you looks like everything has finished, but you keep moving. And because you keep moving, provision comes in. So now, one reflection question: how does knowing my strengths and weakness make me a better leader? Now, I believe that the first time we have looked at our strengths and weaknesses, when you do SWOT analysis for businesses, it's always very good to do SWOT analysis for yourself. I know people who are melancholic, it's one of the things that we do naturally. SWOT analysis, especially our weakness, we carry it on our head. But we need to be able to know your strengths and weaknesses. And in knowing your strengths and weaknesses, you need to also know your opportunities. So these are the things that makes you a better leader, because in your weak area, you find partners, you find people who can support you. In your strength, you find where you can give. What can you give? What are the things that you can do extra? Because there are some things that you have extra of. at different points in time. If you're serving, by the time you resume your PPA, at times, instead of staying at home and just whining away time, you might spend some time teaching children around the environment. And each time you are teaching the child something, you're actually impacting to the nation, because that child, that knowledge you're imbibing to that child's life is actually growing into that, it's going to develop that child to become somebody better. So there are so many things that we do when when we actually know ourselves, when we know our strengths, when we know our weaknesses. It helps us to be able to manage our energy in a more strategic way. Now let's look at the tools for building self-knowledge. Number one tool is journaling. I don't know how many of us actually do this, but it's something that I would highly recommend you. Because if you don't journal, if you don't write down things, the faintest pen is mightier than the best brain. I know that. I'm sure if I take a pool of people who do this, you find more ladies doing this than men. I don't know. I don't want to be gender biased, but I just assume so, that we find more ladies who journal, who have diaries than men. But it's not just about diary keeping, it's also just about tracking. In non-profit, we call that tracking. Maybe either tracking your work activities or tracking your impact. But journaling actually helps in self-knowledge. When you journal your experiences, you start seeing things like a puzzle. It starts looking like a puzzle, fixing in puzzle. It's like fixing in puzzle. So journaling helps you to be able to keep a track of your experiences. It helps you to keep a track of what you do. Then feedback from mentors and peers. It's very, very important. For me, it's a major source of my building. It's a major source of building my self-awareness. There are a lot of things I didn't know that I could do before, that it was actually feedback from people, from friends, that actually gave me the confidence to do. So listening to mentors and peers is very, very important. The good thing about peers is that they don't save you anything. They don't have anything to hide from you. They tell you the truth the way it is. So if you are doing what they tell you, if you are doing badly at a particular thing, they tell you. So let's not take feedback. Let's take criticisms as feedback. It helps us in building our self-knowledge. When people keep telling you that you are doing something well repeatedly at a particular action, you are doing it well, it means that there's something about you that is good. That your strength and personality assessment, these are another professional way of trying to know yourself. You can actually engage one or two psychology tests, either online or offline, to actually understand your personality. Because understanding your personality helps you to know the kind of environment that you are in. For example, for me, I one of the various places you find me is events that have crowd of maybe 2,000 people. It's because I know that for me, I unless I'm at the back end. But when it comes to this paparazzi and all that, I find it very difficult to cope. So these are I know my strength, I know my weakness. Does it mean that, oh, if my job requires that, I'm not going to do that? I have to put up a different kind of personality for that. But when it comes to volunteering, I like to volunteer in areas where I am actually at the back end doing the things. That is why I actually work as Chief Operations Officer at Accesstech, because I'm always at the back end ensuring that activities and things are moving. So strengths and personality tests actually helps you to know who you are. It helps you to know which part of the game. When you're volunteering in an organization or in a place, it's like a team. Some people are goalkeepers, some people are defenders, some people are strikers. You know what your strength is. If you're a goalkeeper, you try to be a striker because strikers are always recognized more. Then you have a problem because you never be recognized. Why? Because you don't have that competence. Now, mindfulness and reflective solitude. This is one gift that we need to buy if you don't have it. Mindfulness and reflective solitude. Please always take time. You cannot journal when you don't have time for reflective solitude. That's why we have reflection questions on this slide. Please take most of these questions. If you take your time to answer them, you see yourself evolving. You need to be mindful of yourself, mindful of your action, mindful of those things that draws your attention. You're walking on the street, you're seeing a child hawking by 12 noon, and you're angry, and you're taking that for granted. No, don't take that for granted. Something is calling you. Something is calling you there. Don't take that for granted. It's not everybody that, a lot of people saw that child, not everybody that had that feeling. So when you have that feeling, don't take that for granted. It's very, very important. So you have to be mindful of the things that is drawing your attention. It's very, very important. And at times it's not only one thing. For me, it's not just I do disability advocacy, but I'm also very, very, I think I'm also drawn to issues that concern boys. I don't know why, but it's one of the things that draws my attention. Whenever I see people who are doing things for building boys or boys boot camp, trying to build the boys' self-esteem and all that, I'm very drawn to that. It doesn't even relate to what I'm doing right now. So if you're not mindful of those things, if you're not mindful of those feelings, you are not going to understand. You are not going to have clarity on what you should do. And you're not going to understand yourself, You're not going to understand yourself. So being mindful, don't take for granted those things that are getting you angry. You walk into an organization and everywhere is looking, people are not organized in the sense that their processes is shallow and all that, and you're actually angry. Something is telling you that maybe you're a program manager or you're an operations manager, or maybe that organization even needs your help in helping them design their processes. So that means that something is calling your name at that moment. So those causes, those things that are getting you angry, don't forget that the guy that invented electricity actually got angry by washing the bulb, this lamp. If he wasn't angry with that, he won't find a solution to that problem. So those things that are getting you angry, be mindful of them. Don't take them for granted, please, because they might be a building block for what God is actually intending for you to do. Now, our reflection question for this is, what practice can I start today to know myself better? Now, is it journaling? Is it feedback from mentors? Is it strength and personality test assessment? Is it mindfulness and solitude and reflective solitude? Taking out time in a day to reflect on what you've done today and how you feel, how those things you've done have made you feel is very, very important. It makes you decide on whether you should continue on a particular practice or you should stop on a particular practice. It makes you understand whether this volunteering, this place I'm volunteering, this cause I'm volunteering for, am I really doing it because I really have a space in it, or I'm doing it because it's just convenient for me to do, or it's just nice, it's a nice props for me to do. No, if you don't do that, you will not understand. You just keep going in life over and over again and keep repeating the same wrong things at the end of the day. So what practices can I start today to know myself better? So you can choose from any of these or any other one that you find useful to you. But the most important thing is that don't forget that knowing yourself is actually a journey, and it doesn't start and end in one event. Now, aligning self-knowledge with action. Number one, you have to choose a course that match your value. The question now is, what is your value? So if you don't know your value, we don't have a lot of time to, I would have wanted to get, if it's going to be a physical event, I would have wanted to get feedback in terms of understanding your value system and how it actually aligns with the courses that you're actually working for. So if you don't understand your value system, then you might not know the best courses that might suit you or that you can work for. Now, aligning self-knowledge with action, so actually leads us into areas where we are passionate and competent in. Now, passion is very, very good. I can be passionate about persons with disabilities, about the inclusion of persons with disabilities rather, but I'm not competent in it. Now, how do I now build competence? When I know I'm passionate about something, for me, the first thing I did was to build competence. I studied in those areas. I worked with experts in those areas and to build my competence so that when I'm serving this set of people, I can serve with competence. Now, but there are some areas that you're passionate about, but you don't have the time to build competence in. That is where your money comes in. Because in those areas, you can actually make donations. Because you know that you don't have the competence nor the time, but you have the passion for that particular cause. You can make donations. Because a lot of time, volunteerism is not just, we volunteer our time, at times we volunteer our resources. If you don't have the time or the competence to be there physically, or there are other people who are there physically and there's no need for you, but they need resources. Now, be intentional with time and energy. A lot of times we hear, manage your time, but I find it more useful, maybe as a woman, as a mother, in managing my energy. Because managing my time is, I don't even have a choice in my time. It's only 24 hours. Certain things I can do in the day, certain things I can do at night. But I found out that my productivity increased when I started learning to manage my energy. What is the best time in doing this. Because I know I'm going to have this discussion today, I had planned my energy, I had planned the things I've done in the morning, so that I don't want to do, there are certain things that I might do that might stress me, that might affect my quality of delivery too. So it's very, very, knowing self-knowledge actually helps you in managing your time and your energy. Your energy in terms of what are the things that reduces your productivity level. At what's the best time that you are most productive? What's the best time that you are least productive? What quadrant that helped me the most is, I don't know if you've seen this quadrant before. It's a square that is divided into 4 places. So a square, just imagine a square, then a cross in between a square. So it's divided into 4 boxes. You have things that are urgent, and you have important, urgent, and things that are not important but urgent. So there are some things that are important and they are also urgent. There are some things that are important but they are not urgent. Those are ways you actually use to manage your energy, especially if you are the executive or you have so many responsibilities in a day. So those are the things that makes you determine the things that you can push to tomorrow and the things that you can do for today. So even in volunteering your time, there are times that you can actually say no. That's my next point. It's not every time that you have the time to be with those children, because there are times that even your family that needs you most at that time. You need to be able to say no, because if you don't learn to say no, you have a burnout. And if you burn out, they will not have you again next time forever. Because when you burn out, you're psychologically out and you cannot even deliver anymore. So you need to actually be able to protect, because you're saying no, that might even be the protection for your mental health. So, and you cannot say no if you don't understand how best to manage your energy and your time. So one reflection question here is, how can I align my daily decisions with my purpose? What are the things that we do every day? Now, what is my purpose? What resonates with me naturally? What do I want to achieve on this earth? What are the things I do every day that will lead me to achieving this on this earth? There are some things you do every day that you'll be paid for. There are some things you do every day that you will not be paid for. And it's all towards achieving this. Some people have experience in management, and you are being invited to a board of a non-governmental organization as a board member. They might not have the means to pay you, and they're telling you, can you volunteer your time with us? You know that the lessons you're teaching them, the things that you're helping the organization build, is actually things that you can actually be paid for in terms of as a consultant. But you are dedicating that time to providing support for them. That is volunteerism. Because when you're able to build that organization and they are going to be on their feet running well with great structure, you have actually developed a nation and they can actually employ more people. You can see that it's a ripple effect. It's not just a one-off thing. So how can I align my daily decisions with my purpose? So everything we do every day affects our lives. It affects our purpose. Decisions we make every day affect our purpose. So your decision to come here today is because you're building your capacity in not just in volunteerism, but in service. You're building your capacity. You want to build your capacity. That's why you are here today. So on all the decisions is leading 1 or 2 words you've had today. It might not be everything you hear today that resonates with you. 1 or 2 sentences you've had today. You have picked them, your spirit has picked them up. The ones you're going to hear in the next few weeks coming, before the end of this program. All these things come together to affect the decisions that we make in life, to affect how your impact, how your purpose in life is being achieved. So it's very important for us to understand ourselves, for us to understand the values, the courses that match our values, and to understand the areas that are passionate in and competent in. These things actually helps us in aligning our self-knowledge with the things that we do. That's our action. Now, our final thoughts. Self-knowledge leads to self-awareness. It shapes our service orientation. You cannot have, when we have self-knowledge, I think we've said this is the whole core of this discussion. Don't forget that self-knowledge leads to self-awareness. It saves how you serve. It shapes who you serve. It's not everybody that you can serve. Let me give for me now, I work with people who are visually impaired. And those are the people that I understand. I don't work with children with Down syndrome. I have friends who work with children with Down syndrome. I have friends with Down syndrome. But I don't have the competence because I'm not trained to do that. So when I have a passion for that, If I have a passion for children with Down syndrome, the first thing I do is to learn, to understand this sect of children. That's the first thing I do. No, I just don't go with my passion. So self-knowledge, it makes you to understand yourself. Self-awareness makes you to know what you have and what you don't have. If I say, oh, I have passion to work with deaf people and I don't know how to sign, I need to know that I don't know how to, I need to accept the fact I don't know how to sign. I need to learn how to sign. So my self-awareness comes in my now saying, okay, this is my weakness and these are the things that I need to do to be able to achieve this at the end of the day. Now, it shapes our impact, clarifies our mission. When people see you, what would they say of you? In one sentence, what can I say that you are? Now, I know compassionate Levina. I know our selfless achiever. You know, the thing is, where at the end of the day, in what sentence, what can people sum you up as? In knowing ourselves, we serve better, we live stronger, and we live a fuller life. There's nothing that can change it. When you know yourself, what is knowing yourself? Knowing yourself requires knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing your core values, understanding them, and being intentional about them. It helps us to serve better. It helps us to lead stronger because you go to areas where you are actually strong. And it helps us to live a fuller life. You know that this life we have not only lived to make profit from businesses. You have not only lived to collect fat salaries. You have lived a life that has touched people. Now, our reflection question. What legacy do I want to leave through my volunteerism and leadership? This question should never leave your mind. Each time you sign up or you dedicate your time to volunteer to help a person, what legacy do you want to leave? Don't forget, what you do for a person is not as important as how you make the person feel. You can give a person $10 million and you make the person feel worthless. But how you do it, but how you give the person $10 million. You can make there's one thing that I like about the American spaces. No matter no matter how big or small, what they are putting into you, they make you feel good about it. You can never forget that. People can never forget how you make them feel. So what legacy do you want people to remember you for? What legacy do you want to leave through your volunteerism? The time you are sharing people, that business owner you decide to go and support, how are you doing it? What legacy, what will that person remember you for? That school that you're supporting, those vulnerable children that you're supporting, whatever you choose to do in volunteerism, that board that you choose to serve in as a volunteer, what legacy do you want to leave behind? What do you want them to remember you for through your volunteerism and leadership? If you have this thought with you, you don't have to share this with anybody, but having it in your heart and sharing it with accountability partners, people who know you, they will know. Because any standard you have in life, people are going to know your standard through what you do, through your character. This is going to be the bedrock of everything that you do, the legacy that you want to leave through your volunteerism and leadership. And by God's grace, I know that we are all out here to leave a good legacy towards building and transforming our nation. But we have taken out, thank you so much for taking out time to actually go through this journey with me today in knowing yourself and in building a legacy of volunteerism that actually transforms our mission. I'm open to questions if you still have more time. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Emmanuella. It's nice hearing you, energetic, focused, and direct as usual. Thank you so much. Can we all put our hands together for Emmanuella once again to appreciate her? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We are so grateful. You are as detailed as we would have expected. Thank you. All right, so it's time for questions. So if you okay, please can you just exit your share mode? Thank you. All right. Okay, so so let the questions start coming in. So you can just put up your hand. I can see some hands up already. So some of us can also go ahead to type on the chat box if we have questions as well. Okay, so let me start from the US Embassy Abuja, the American Center in Abuja. So please kindly unmute yourself and ask your question.
First of all, I want to say thank you. Okay. All right, my name is Emeka Kingsley. I just want to have like clarity. I know you've spoken about knowing yourself, but when you find yourself with multiple skills, multiple knowledge, you maybe through your life experience or through your journey in life, and you've touched different aspects of life, and you want to give back. Does it mean that yeah, like I know you said something about you can sometimes support through funds, you maybe donate, but what if you're moved to do these things and these are something that you do and it brings joy to you? You know, yes, you have your strength where you function very well, but through your multiple skills, you give yourself out. Does it mean that you're doing the right thing or you're doing the wrong thing, or are you overdoing? Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, so Emmanuella, go ahead.
I want to clarify something. What do you mean by you said doesn't mean that you're doing the right thing? When you say giving yourself out, are you saying working with other people, maybe volunteering with other people, starting up your own initiative to give? Can you give maybe?
So I understand that you can be an authority, maybe in the field, but let's assume you have multiple skills, well, through your life knowledge or experience, and you've been doing, you know, supporting in different areas. Now, when I said, are you overdoing or are you doing the wrong thing? So because, of course, you know, when you push all these things out, people will say, oh, this person is confused. But for you, you find joy in doing those things. And, you know, because of the wealth of knowledge you've accumulated, it doesn't mean that you don't have your direction, but you find yourself doing this thing because they bring joy to you, but you know where you're going. So does it look like one is overdoing or one is doing the wrong thing because you're doing multiple things, or you're just in everywhere? Just trying to balance that in your...
Yeah, I get that. Thank you so much for this question. You see, you are not overdoing. Now, I'm speaking this now from a point of experience I've seen with different people. And the truth is that you are not actually overdoing. The truth is, if you look critically within yourself, all these different multiple skills that you have, there is a purpose around them. That is what you now have to do with self-reflection. Now, if I'm going to go personal with you a bit, if you look at it, if we audit those things, they are all leading on to one thing or two. There's a purpose for which you are doing all these different skills. Let me assume that, for example, you have interest and skill in you have interest in climate change, you have interest in disability advocacy, you have interest in this, you have interest in maybe supporting vulnerable children, and all this, you are truly passionate about them all. It means that you're actually somebody who is fighting against inequality, who is fighting against who is fighting to save the environment, sustainable development. Do you understand? So at the end of the day, it's all leading towards a thematic area, if you look at it critically. Because I wish you actually gave an example of the multiple skills so that I will work together on that and see how at the end of the day it's aligning. The most important thing is alignment. The first judge is your conscience. Number one, why are you jumping? Why are you doing those things? In quote, when we say jumping, why are you doing those things, those multiple things that you're doing? In your heart, you know that your heart is in it. Your heart is in those things that you are doing. And because your heart is in them, then, as I told you, I work on disability advocacy. I also have interest in empowerment of boys. And I'm a woman. Now, if tomorrow now you see me working with an organization that is empowering boys, if you don't know my story, you don't know why that is there. That is a part of me. Do you understand? So there isn't one person, there isn't an alpha thing that's the only thing you're going to do. And for the rest of your life, you're going to have interest in different things. That is normal. And at times your interest might go across several things. There are people who are multi-talented, even in talent. There are people who are multi-talented. But your ability to structure it and put it under thematic areas that are focused, so that you have the impact can also be focused, because that is how we know people who are actually just jumping for trends. If somebody is jumping for trend, one of the ways we know is that at the end of the day, there is no, you cannot put everything into an umbrella, into why they are doing everything that they are doing. You cannot put into an umbrella. And secondly, in some cases, there are times that those multiple things, you find yourself doing them in different seasons. There are times it's not at a particular time you are doing them. Somebody might be interested, maybe some people when they were younger, they were interested in a particular course. By the time they had one or two experiences, maybe the person had an injury, needed blood transfusion, and got blood transfusion, the stress of getting blood transfusion, the person now got interested in blood banking. You will now say that maybe you are in EdTech. How come EdTech now you're now in blood banking? There are things that happened at that moment. So in life, things are going to change. Experiences are going to make you change. But the most important thing is why you are doing them. That is what, and we are all going to see it. Those of us that are your friends looking at you, seeing the things that you are doing, at the end of the day, we are all going to understand that these things are not, they are not, you are not doing that of trending. You are doing it out of a passion, out of experience, because you're also going to be sharing your experience as you are doing them. You are going to know. That's where storytelling comes in, because your storytelling brings everything together and makes us know your why at the end of the day. I hope that helps.
All right, thank you so much, Emmanuella. So let's quickly go to American Corner, Abuja. Please unmute yourself. That's American Space, Abuja. Mute yourself and ask your question, please. Abuja. All right, so why they are getting that sorted out? Okay.
Hi, Samuel. We still have one more question here. So are you referring?
Okay, we'll come back. We'll come back to you, Grace. Let's go around first.
Okay, thank you.
We have quite a number of hands up. Okay, so Uyo, can you unmute yourself if Abuja is not ready?
Good day, everyone. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. We can hear you.
Yeah, my name is Chima, and straight to my question. I would love to know what some of the personality tests, especially those that are online, are relatively free, because I work with young people, a lot of young people, and they would love to, when I go back to do a step down, they would love to really understand. They would love to really understand where to get, or would love to know where to get some of these resources so that they can begin to leverage on their strengths, even as we teach them to volunteer better.
All right, thank you.
Okay. For me personally, I read books. One of my major authors in personality is Tim LaHaye. Why you act the way you do. But as we just asked this question, for me, those are what built my own understanding of my personality. But there's another personality test that I said, personality.co. I think they said it's free, so you can try them. I just Googled free personality test, and I found quite a number of personality tests that you can try out and see. But I think there's somebody who works on mental health, the compassionate Lavina. She might also be able to share. I don't know. I'm not putting you on the spot, Lavina, but I just remember that you work on mental health. You might also be able to share some professional personality tests that he might be able to administer on the children. Maybe you can just share it on chat if you can pick it up from there. Is that okay?
All right, thank you so much. All right, so let's quickly rush to Uyo. Uyo, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
All right. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Okay. Sorry, please. Emmanuella, please, can you adjust your camera a little so that, okay, I think, all right, better. Okay, so you go ahead.
Okay, actually, I have 3 questions here.
Oh, one for now. Choose the one that you think you can type the rest on the chat box.
Okay, the one I pick is it possible to take your competency in one area and say an area you're good at, your competency in that area, and apply it in an area you are less competent but more passionate about? And how can you effectively do this if it's possible?
All right, thank you so much.
Please, can you give me a scenario so that I don't like speaking in abstract. So, can you give me a scenario?
Okay, for example, you are a good speaker, public speaker, and then you decide to maybe you're not doing something in public speaking. You end up studying engineering, for example, and then you now want to apply your competency in public speaking in engineering. So you go into research, engineering research, and then you actually, you go for events and you speak on what you've found from your research. So that's my scenario.
Yeah, so you already answered the question. So which is if you're good at public speaking and you are an engineer, you can actually become a trainer because you can train other engineers. And one of the tools for training is public speaking. Do you understand? So a lot of times you can adapt what you like. Okay, let me give you an example. I studied journalism. Today I'm running a digital institute for persons with disabilities. What do I do here? I'm not the technical person here. What I do is I taught journalism, I studied education. I design curriculum. So I just speak the competence area, the technical competence area into the areas where I'm passionate about to solve the problem. Do you understand? I manage communications. I manage curriculum development here. And at the end of the day, it's leading towards solving the social problem of digital inclusion of persons with disabilities. So I'm not the one who is training the blind people directly, but I'm the one who is designing the curriculum because I have the technical competence to do that. So, and that is exactly what we are talking about in volunteerism. A lot of organizations need your technical competence in areas where you might not be passionate about that area where you are competent in, but that thing, that technical skill you have, you can put it into an area where you are actually passionate about. And at the end of the day, that's how you live a more fulfilled life.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so let's quickly go to just a minute. Okay. Bauchi, can you unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
Thank you for the perfect presentation, ma'am. How can we close the gap concerning volunteering? If we look at most of the champions and people that are making impact in the society, become champion through volunteering, because if we look at things that are happening in the country, there are some spaces which we need people that can volunteer to contribute to sort out most of the problem. This particular training, you cannot pay money, but if you look at most of the centers, there are so many vacant spaces. So how can we close this gap so that some other people, youth, especially in this country, can be able to identify the areas where they can give their contribution, also be molded through networking?
Thank you very much for this question. This conscientization can solve this problem. I think that's one of the reasons why American Spaces is having this event, in conscientizing young people to the need for volunteerism, because exactly what you've seen, I believe it's exactly what they've seen before they designed this event, this program in itself. So for us to, when there's a huge gap, we need to start conscientizing we need to create structure for volunteerism. I don't know where you work or what you do, but if you are in an environment where you see that there's a huge need for volunteerism, the problem people have when they want to volunteer is that a lot of times when they come into those environments, there's no structure to welcome the volunteers. There's no structure to administer the volunteers. Do you understand? So we need to create structure for volunteerism. We need to conscientize these people that there's a space that their time is needed to speak to their minds. Just the way people conscientize people to give donations of their money. You can also conscientize people to give donations of their time. So we need to start conscientizing people that so that that particular cause can align with what they are actually thinking about. There are people who are also thinking of the same thing that you're thinking of, but they don't know where to start. They don't know what to do. You understand? Especially in either in the north or in anywhere. There are so many places where volunteerism, where people's time is actually needed, but they don't know what to do. So we need to actually think our time. We need to conscientize more people to this and create a structure to actually accommodate. Yes, I think that can actually help in bridging the gap.
All right, thank you so much, Emmanuella. All right, so let me quickly take this question from the chat box. It's from Abuja. It says, how do you handle a situation where you are volunteering for a company or an organization, but you discover they are using your intellectual property to enrich themselves unduly?
So at the beginning, the problem would have started with us. When you opted to volunteer for this organization, did you make them realize that this is the intellectual property and they're not permitted to use it? I remember at the point, the passion was very, very high, but we didn't expect it. So now we have made a mistake. The first mistake was that I didn't sign this contract with them. And some of them, I even tell that they didn't know that, I don't know the nature of intellectual property, but some of them might say that they don't know that it's something that you don't want them to use or whatever the case, because there was no prior notice to this. So if there was a prior notice to this, then you have a more legal case in that regard. But if there isn't, I think we might have to go back and negotiate with them to withdraw that particular intellectual property and let them understand the gravity of what they are doing. If they have to pay for it, they pay for it, or they recognize you. Maybe they need to actually recognize you for that work that you've contributed, and they're just taking that work without recognizing you. You need to actually negotiate with them on in that regard. But next time, please, when you're about to work with an organization and you have an intellectual property that you might use with them, let them understand the condition for that use, so that these kind of things can actually be avoided. But you need to go back and you need to negotiate with them right now.
All right, thank you very much, Emmanuella. Let's go to Meduguri. Please unmute and ask your question.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Emmanuella, thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. Mine is a concern. So my concern is, it's a kind of challenge that I need to know how, as volunteer, we can navigate over it. Now, given a case scenario of myself, I actually embarked on a kind of environmental climate change project. And in the school, we agreed to plant some kind of economic trees. And we need like 50 economic trees to plant. Now, the challenge is, how do I fund this project? Because those trees, those economic trees, you get to get them or maybe afford them somewhere. So it becomes challenging at some point for me to further proceed on this activity. So most times you just end it there. So how do you advise somebody like me at such a situation? Thank you. Over.
Okay, so the problem that you are having is that you are not able to proceed in planting those trees because you don't have the funding to continue planting them, right?
Yes, you're right.
So at this point, you can't do it alone. The work has gone. You need to seek for partnership. So you need to seek for people who align with your values, who align with your value system in what you're doing, so they can partner with you to continue with it. There might be individuals who have interest in climate change, environmental protection. It might be organizations who are interested in environmental protection. But at this point, you need to seek for partners, because that project should not end. You know why it should not end? Because the reason why you started it was not that. Not just because you started it to protect the environment, and not just to protect the environment, also provide food. I think you called it economic trees, that trees that can actually produce maybe subsistence living and all that. So you need to keep planting them. So we need to actually seek for partnership at this point. Build your capacity in seeking for partnership, either writing for grants or seeking for partnership informally with people who are aligned with the vision and have the resources to give to you.
All right, thank you so much. So let's quickly go to Zaria Kaduna. Please unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Okay. A very powerful presentation by Emmanuella, speaking from Zaria. Sincerely speaking, I actually am happy to find myself in this particular program. I served in Akwa Ibom State, and I did something like this. I entered into the camp with the intention of visiting IDP camps in the north, because I picked that as a gap that needs to be attended to. So I said, okay, I am joining NYSC to visit IDP camps because there are a lot of displaced individuals in the north here, Maiduguri and other parts of the north. So I entered to the camp and I actually started my move by raising funds, creating awareness, going to churches, mosques, and other meeting individuals. So I was able to raise quite a number of relief materials. From Akwa Ibom State, I traveled to the north to cross rivers. I entered Ogoja, of which I was able to see some refugees or displaced persons from Cameroon that entered through to Nigeria through that access. I gave them some materials.
Please go ahead and ask your question, please. We don't have time on our side.
Yes, I just want to actually encourage the youth, especially that are from the northern part of Nigeria. Mine is just like in a form of addition. There are a lot of volunteering opportunities in the north. In fact, these IDP camps, these displaced persons, they need our support, because I could notice the happiness in the heart of these two displaced persons. I visited in Benue, Ogoja, I even entered Abuja. So now, this volunteering, I look at it as something that solves two particular problems. Some volunteers to get benefit, but personally, I did that for me to at least reach to these people, so that at least they can feel my impact. So those of us that are from the north, we have this in mind. Look at these persons. They need our help. Teachers, Katina, Zamfara, Maiduguri, we need to volunteer. And I taught them skills, because I studied textiles and fashion design, time and dye, including, but this country is a place that I can volunteer to teach these skills, so that we can be self-reliant as far as we are concerned. So I said I did that with my chemicals, with whatsoever. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, so Kefi, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, Emmanuella, thank you very much for this session. My question is about solitude. Does that solve the problem of societal crisis or the battle of the mind?
Sorry, I'm not sure. Emmanuel, did you get that?
No, I didn't at all.
Please, I think you either sit down or you go a little lower, so that we can pick your voice, your voice clearly. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I said, but you made mention of reflective solitude. Okay, yes. Does that solve the problem of societal crisis or the battle of the mind?
Okay.
Or the what of the mind?
Battle of the mind.
Yeah, it solves more of the battle of the mind. So if you don't fight the battle of the mind or win the battle of the mind, you cannot you cannot take care of societal crisis. So you need to first of all take care of the battle of the mind. So reflexive solitude gives you that ability to control your mind and understand who you are and be self-aware. So that way you can contribute to solving societal crisis. I hope that is philosophically okay.
All right, thank you so much. I think that is just what Stephen Covey said, that you have to conquer the battle within before conquering the battle without. All right, so Calabar, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John. It's actually, the session has actually been quirky right from time, glitch in the network. But up till now, though, well, we could hear you better just now. So my question will be, it's personal, and it will be, in what way has your experience as a volunteer changed or challenged your understanding of yourself?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So my understanding of just in summary, my understanding of myself actually helped me in deciding the area which I want to volunteer. So I've known myself to be on the empathetic area. I'm interested more in disability advocacy. Because I'm married to a blind person, I've decided that I want to change the perspective of how people see blind people. So that is where I put my energy into. And that is what has influenced my volunteerism. So it's not my volunteerism that changed my perspective, but it's my perspective that affected my areas of volunteerism.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so can we, I think we still have the time on our side. Can we quickly go back to the American Center, the embassy, for the remaining question? Yeah, please unmute yourself, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My question is direct. My question is, where there is interest but no passion in driving or supporting a value-oriented cause, how could you relate this to volunteerism? Thank you.
Where there is interest.
Yeah, where there is interest, but no passion in driving or supporting a value-oriented cause. How would you relate this to volunteerism?
Sorry, I must admit that this is quite complicated. But when there's no interest, when you don't have interest in something and you don't have passion for a particular cause, most likely if you might not be inclined to volunteering for that cause. That is exactly the whole crux of what we're talking about. That let's find a place where we have interest in and where you have value, where you can see value in, that in putting your time into it. And in the other way around, you can just be a simple donor. And in fact, you cannot even donate to a cause if your financial resources to a cause that you don't have interest in. Do you understand? So, and that's why a bit the question, I believe that there maybe you might want to put clarity to it, but it's a bit complicated because the statement already said it. I said it already.
Anyway, I think, Emmanuella, probably there's a third one, underlying factor. At times people volunteer because of the reward, either financial reward or getting associated with the organization. So it doesn't.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's very important. Okay, maybe that's where you are going. Usually, when you don't have interest in something and you put your hand into it, most likely because of the reward or what you stand to gain in volunteering and you're aligning with that particular organization. And at that point, usually we always dictate it. As I said, I shared my experience in my organization. When people come to me for that, and I ask why, and you are telling me that so that you can use it to get scholarship from school. It's not a bad reason at all, but the truth is that I might not be able to work with you because a lot of time people like that give me stress. Because you don't get that passion when they are working at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So it's always good for them to always have interest because that way the work is smoother.
All right, thank you. So there's a question from Zaria here. He said, how does self-esteem improve self-knowledge?
Good. Self-knowledge is what even improves self-esteem.
Exactly.
So now, if you don't have self-knowledge, you cannot have self-esteem. What is self-knowledge? Self-knowledge is knowing that this is me. Physically, I am dark, I am short, I am this. This is me. And I'm proud of it. And I know it. You don't have to tell me. And I'm confident in what I have. Simple. That is self-esteem. So let's not complicate it. It's not a philosophical issue. It's a very simple thing. If you have self-knowledge, if you know yourself, it builds your self-esteem. It builds your self-confidence. Your self-esteem is actually the estimation of what you think you are. So if you don't know yourself, you cannot give yourself an estimation. You cannot put yourself in an esteem. Do you understand? So self-knowledge is very, very important. Please do it. If you are asking from a personal point of view, please try and do a SWOT analysis of yourself. Understand yourself and accept who you are. What you cannot change, please don't fight it. Take it as your strength and take it as your own. Own it, and nobody's going to bring you down for it. That is just the truth. Let me just give you an example. As simple as I've given you a background of my life as a person who is married to a blind person. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. A lot of times on social media, I call myself a blind man's wife. So if a person sees me tomorrow and start thinking that I think people they want to talk down at you, tell you that you're a blind man's wife. It's not a yabbing for me. It's like it has become my life. So it's not a part of me. So it's not something you want to use to make jest of me. Do you understand? So it's part of self-awareness. It's part of self-awareness. So self-knowledge actually boosts self-esteem. So please try and boost your level of self-knowledge because definitely once you have that, your self-esteem cannot be low.
All right, thank you so much, Emmanuella. So yes, there's a question here. There links to organizations who need volunteers in Nigeria that you can share, or are there probably a link where people can actually go and check out for where to volunteer to?
I think I'll be asking American Spaces now if there are organizations. Because I know that there are so many organizations that actually need volunteers. I know so many, but I don't have a database of organizations that that need volunteers. Why I'm saying I've asked American Spaces because we have thousands of alumni of exchange programs who run big organizations and might could have even reached out for volunteers. So I think that's a good place to start. But you can also start online. Start with organizations that you know that you're finding interest in what they are doing. You can reach out to them and all that. But speaking right now, I don't have a database of links organizations that need volunteers. And that might even be an idea for you. You might start gathering that database now as a tech
Yeah. So
yeah,
I think
I want to share something from Abuja here.
Okay.
On that,
yeah, just okay. On the linked organizations.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Sorry, just wanted to use the opportunity because I know we have so many people here and also from other space. So I know that you can also build your capacity by taking courses via the yali.state.gov. It's a free place where you can take over 25 courses there. Many of us have not utilized those resources there. And it's something that you can start today. Yali.state.gov is free, no payments. Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks so much. That is already on the chat box, so you can note that down from anywhere you are. And also, just like my boss just mentioned here too, you can start from your community. Now, wherever you go to volunteer, you seek to volunteer, people would like to know what you are bringing on the table, not probably coming to be a burden on them. So I think starting from your community, building yourself up will move you from that little community to the extent to a point probably you'll be volunteering for international organizations, but start from where you are, from that small school, small clinic, small outreaches in your community. Start from there and begin to build your profile to the extent where you now become you have something to offer when you have a point to volunteer with bigger organizations. Okay, so someone is asking from Maiduguri, say, can the speaker help us to identify the factors or indicators one can use in knowing one's strengths and weaknesses in volunteerism?
Please take that personality test. I think American have put it up. It's very important. Knowing your personality helps you to be able to know solve that particular issue. So please take that personality test and take these courses that that's been recommended as yalistate.gov. Those are there are a lot of resource materials that can help with that in those things. So that way you'll be able to build your capacity and know yourself in the kind of organizations that the kind of volunteering that you can actually do. Then I think that's basically what I have to say.
All right, thank you so much. So finally, Abuja's hand is up. The American Center, Abuja. Is it a new one or we should move ahead?
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Compassionate Living. For the personality test, you can check 16 personality tests. It is free and everybody can use it to ascertain.
16 as in 1/6 or XIX?
1/6
Okay.
personality test.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Compassionate Living.
Okay, so I think that is all for now. I will hand over to who's that?
I think there's a question here that I wanted to attend to. It said in the course of your session, you mentioned you can also volunteer for SMEs. Could this be an opportunity for employment? Yes, on the chat box. Yes, it can actually be an opportunity for employment. We've had an experience here at Accesstech like that. We had a young boy who came in and said, look, I just want to volunteer, I just want to support. And he's in tech. Today, he's actually one of our full-time staff. So it's just a way of volunteering for SME is as good as internship without pay. And these are ways of actually testing your expertise and building your experience. And of course, when you have proven to be an expert at something and there's a space for vacancy for pay, It's people who people are used to working with that they will actually work with. So I believe it's a yes, actually.
All right, so thank you so much, Emmanuella. So at this point, I would like to hand over to my boss, Samuel Itaya, to take over from here. Thank you so much. So please, can we all put us together for Emmanuella once again? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emmanuella. Indeed, we are so grateful. Everyone who is here who has benefited from this presentation will know that you are passionate about what you are talking about, and how I wish everyone here could be as passionate as you are. So could we also put our hands together once again for her? She is the first that we know that have taken advantage of the opportunities that we provided thrice, 3 times. That's interesting. And these opportunities are also available to all of us. Let me give you a very deep secret, and this is for everyone. If you really want to apply for any opportunity, particularly with the US mission, make sure you have something going in the area of volunteerism. That's one area that we look at. That's something that we value. In the United States and some other developed countries, volunteerism is taken seriously. And that's the kind of culture that we're trying to introduce to you. You have so much around us that some of us were angry when we see some of these things. That's where you should volunteer. And that's what I think our speaker is telling us today. What is that thing that provokes you? Why can't you volunteer? On your campus as students, you see all forms of things. In your community, you see some of these children doing nothing. And you have few hours you can put aside to point them in the right direction. What about in your mosque? What about in your church? In your neighborhood? There's so much that could be done. And that's why we're inviting you again for next week. The topic is designing change, projects with purpose. How do you go about doing this? How do you design change? I hope you are going to make it. Please invite your friends and let's make it a date. Finally, on Wednesday, we still continue with our eLibrary USA, as well as Education USA orientation programs. So please keep a date with us. We have a lot in stock for you. So till then, bye-bye to everybody. Bye.
So let's put our hands